Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show, guys. By popular demand, Logan Ayers is back with us. This is going to be a good conversation. I actually really been looking forward to it. Logan, you've been on my mind for a lot. I've been thinking, it's like, one, I just want to catch up with you, but I also need to get you back in because for those that have been listening for a long time, you know that this show actually used to be called Principles with Cory and Logan. And it all started right here with Brother Logan when he said, hey, you know what? Let's do a podcast and I just want to meet some awesome people. And that's kind of where it started. So Logan, great to have you back, man.
Good to be here. Good to see you. I was really excited when I saw your name pop up on my phone the other day. Not when you text me about this. You just text me to say, hey, man, I was thinking about you. And I popped back into cell coverage. I was on a mountain somewhere in, I think, New Mexico. And I was like, man, I was thinking about you. And I forgot to draft a message and send it when I got to coverage, and got back to coverage and had a message from you.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was good.
How about that? Yeah. Well, man, it's, I know when me and you first started really connecting there, one of the things you wanted to do, you really just want to have kind of a design your own life type thing, right? Like where you get to work, you work hard, you do things with excellence, but also wanted to do the things in life that you want to do, travel and hunt and those kind of things. And if you heard what he just said, he was out on a mountain somewhere hunting. And so just tell the folks, Logan, how of the year, how much time do you spend out west hunting?
So my wife and I calculated this the other day. Last year I spent about 40 days out west and 52 if you include travel back and forth.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's, I love your story, Logan. One, man, I just love you, and I love, there's some people in life you just have conversations with, and whenever you talk to them, man, they just up level your thinking, and that's what you do for me. You really do, man. Oh, watch out now. But you really do. It was really inspiring. I know when you and I first started talking, that was one of the things you wanted to do was, man, I want to hunt 2 to 3 months out of the year. That's what I want to do. It's like, well, you know what? Let's figure out how to make that a reality. And you work hard when you work, but also you're very intentional with your time. And so, man, I just honor you on that. And I just think it's awesome. And so it's been a while since you've been on the podcast. So kind of catch us up. What's been going on in your world for the last 2 to 3 years, Logan?
Well, I appreciate the kind words. And before I answer that, I want to say that we got together because I hired you as a coach.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I felt like I was in a great place and had a lot of good momentum. This was January 2020.
Yeah.
Before COVID. And one of the first things that you had me do, I didn't want to get complacent.
Yeah.
And I was just in a place with good momentum and confidence, and kind of looked around and I was like, I couldn't get comfortable here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of when I think our relationship really spawned. And one of the first things you had me do was write down what I wanted life to look like, vision statement. And I remember some of that had to do with people that I might want in my life that would warm up my temperature in different areas. And I came across that piece of paper that I wrote all that on the other day when I was cleaning out my office. And I'm pretty good friends with like 3 of those people now.
Wow.
And a couple of them I didn't really even have a relationship with at all.
Yeah.
At that time, I was just like, from afar, that guy looks like he could level me up in this area. And now I'm good friends with him.
Wow.
And I told someone else recently, he said, I'm not into, vision board kind of stuff and this and that. And I think you had me put a vision board together, and I was like, man, I'm not either, but I put one together and it's all done now.
Yeah.
So I need I need to actually go back and update it, because I don't think there's anything magic about the vision board, but I do think planting it in your subconscious makes you start to take action that actually yields the results that you're looking for. So, anyway, interesting. Maybe it all tracks back to your coaching.
Yeah, there you go.
But one of the guys, the Hunt Summit that I went to that we've talked about before, I spent 15 or so days hunting with a guy that I met at that summit last year, and I've spent 15 days hunting with him this year too. So like I made a great friend at that summit, and he's leveled me up.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to look back and see.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I don't spend a ton of time thinking back into where this kind of started, because you get lost in the day to day. But yeah, looking back, I guess that was a goal 4 years ago when we started this thing, and here we are. It's like maybe it's time to set some new goals.
It's time to set some new ones there, Logan.
So what was the question?
Catch us up. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I want to say something real quick too. You talked about the vision boards and all, and to me, it sounds really like teenager girl, high school or middle school girlish vision boards. But one of the companies I work with, they have all their team members do vision boards, and they put them up all over over the walls. And it's kind of cool because you get to see kind of the goals of other people. And one of the things we talk about in leadership, and something I've kind of learned from you, one of the things I think you do a great job of is understanding what motivates people. You've talked many times about how when you can figure out what motivates someone, now I can lead them well. One of the things as a leader, if I know what your personal goals are, your professional and your financial goals, it helps me to know how to lead you, but correct you and all those kind of things. And I think that's part of the vision board too. But something interesting happens when you get it out of the fuzziness of your mind and put it on paper, or you see it like that. So anyway.
Yeah, I know we've spoken before about the Cameron Herold book, Vivid Vision.
Yeah.
I actually, coincidentally, this morning started another of his books called Double Double.
Double Double, heard that one.
And it's how to double your revenue and profits in 3 years.
Okay.
Interesting. I'd never thought about the actual math, which is kind of off-brand for me. But the first line of the book is, all you need to do is grow by 25% 3 years in a row. And I was like, oh, wow, that's not that hard. And I texted to Chris, and he was like, oh, that's going to be, no problem. You want me to go sell it? I was like, well, we gotta operate with it too, and execute. Yeah. But Vivid Vision, I think I learned a lot about that. Just that minds dump, getting some clarity to it, getting out of the how, and really spending time thinking about what do I want to achieve, and then it just allows you to have a North Star and say no to things so that you can say yes to things. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is it's hard to say no sometimes, but if you know what you really want to say yes to, you can get rid of a lot of the noise, and there's so much power and focus. And we talk about for work all the time. If you focus on everything, you focus on nothing.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily do that in life.
Yeah.
We get a calendar invite, we say yes.
Yeah.
Versus, if you've got that vision board right here above your desk, like, does this take me closer to whatever the North Star is?
Yeah.
Whether it's, profit, or if it's leadership, if you're in a ministry, if it's reaching people for the gospel, whatever it is, you got to say no to some things so that you can actually hit that. Otherwise, you're just kind of wandering.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I don't know if I was at a training or something, or I was just having a conversation. The dude said, when you say yes to everything, you render your yes powerless, because everybody can count on your yes. But when you say no, really too, whenever you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. But whenever you can legitimately say no to the things that probably not ideal for you, you actually bring power back to your yes, and that's a really powerful thought for someone like myself who likes to say yes to a lot of things.
I can't remember the quote, but it's in one of the full focus planners that you got me on a few years back. every yes must be defended by 1,000 no's.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Wish I knew who said it, but I know it's in that book. So go get a full focus planner, and you'll come across it one day.
There you go. John Maxwell says if you can't really recall, then it's yours. Is your quote.
Oh, is
Logan
true?
Ayers always says. There you go.
There you go. Well, I can write a book full of those.
Yeah. So Logan, I would love for you too to talk about real quick when so you had this idea in the very beginning of, man, I just want to live. This sounds kind of bad, or I don't know if it sounds bad, but I want to live life on my terms. That doesn't sound bad, but I really want my time. How many hours per week would you say you were working at that time?
50 to 60.
50 to 60.
I was in full grind mode at that point. I was doing very well at what I was doing with work, and then spending time with my companies doing the books, and I was also very engaged in both of those. So I definitely wasn't in a season where I felt like I was burned out at all.
Yeah.
Had good momentum and was very very engaged in my work, but I was working a while.
Yeah. So 50 to 60 hours. You did have your own business, but your primary job, you're working for somebody else.
I was probably doing 45 to 55 on that one.
Wow.
I would say.
And so I guess kind of my question there is, you were working for somebody else.
Yes.
How did you make the shift then? Like, how do you, I can see sometimes as an entrepreneur, you can put systems and processes in place. Did you do the same kind of thing there? Put systems and processes in place? How did you make that shift to buying your time back?
It was multifaceted, and I wouldn't say that all of it was on purpose.
Yeah.
Part of it was depending on who you are and how you look at it, divine providence, luck, fortune, whatever it was. I know what I believe about it.
Yeah.
I think it was just ordained, but I was blessed by circumstances in life to have been partnered with somebody that was incredibly committed and very good at what he did and very engaged. And so I was able to take the things that he didn't like to do or wasn't gifted at in our business, which was the finance side and some of the systems, but he handles the operations. And so that business was able to grow in a way that if I was a single owner with no partners that needed to be driving, I couldn't have done both at one time. So that was number one, probably primary function, is that there was a business owner that was driving my personal businesses that were partners, but having that ownership presence every day allowed that to grow.
Yeah.
While I was doing my other work, and then it got to a point where the golden handcuffs weren't necessarily there, because that business got to a size where it was like, well, if I get fired tomorrow, I'm not going to miss any meals. Life will change a little bit, but now I can go put my time and focus into this, and I know that we're going to catch wind in our sails pretty quickly. And so that gave me then the ability to say, how do I design this company to function really well without me fully engaged or here all the time?
Yeah.
And so that was a bit of a roller coaster through some trial and error, and then ultimately being able to step away from that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well, so you and I were talking before we got on. You got some really cool things you got going on right now. Like what's going on in your world right now, Logan?
So phasing out of hotel management, where January would have been 10 years. So
wow.
Ended up somewhere around the 9-month mark. We kind of walked away in a way that worked for everybody, which was great. Took some time in planning, and everything wasn't necessarily perfect, but the timing was good to hopefully allow someone else to come in and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And then about a year and a half ago, started doing a little bit of consulting and fundraising with a healthcare company out of Texas that does direct primary care clinics. They subsequently merged with a company that negotiates cash payment options to save people money on procedures. And so they bolted that onto their product. And so I started working with them in a more full-time capacity 5 or 6 weeks ago. And I'm really focused on helping them achieve their mission of transforming American healthcare and giving people remarkable experiences in healthcare, which all of us that have engaged with healthcare have probably not had remarkable experiences. So it's a big need. I'd already started phasing out with hotels when they said, "Hey, we'd like to make this a little more full-time and permanent," and so kind of worked out for everybody.
Yeah. So you said direct primary care, and and man, I'm with you. I feel like that's the way to go. I really like that model, but there's probably people listening that's like, I don't even know what in the world that is. Like the model, how is it better than, or is it better than kind of traditional healthcare? Like what's the difference?
So the way this company is structured is fully outside of insurance. They don't accept insurance. You would become a member at a clinic, pay a monthly subscription rate, and then have access to your doctor, build a relationship with that doctor, and then there is a menu of pricing.
Yeah.
So, hey, my child seems like they've got flu-like symptoms. I'm going to bring them in. You come in, you know your doctor. It's not an urgent care. They tell you at the desk, hey, this flu test is going to cost $12. Maybe we need to test them for strep too. That'll be $8, whatever the price is for that given thing. Wait times are incredibly low. Time spent with the doctor is incredibly high. The net promoter score for the clinics is incredibly high, running around like 85, 90%, where the major Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, UHG, like those groups are running NPSs for satisfaction in like the teens.
Yeah.
So people seem to really like the experience that they're getting, which is awesome. And people go to the doctor or engage with their doctor, whether that touch point is an in-person visit, an online visit, virtual text, whatever it may be, are engaging more. They're going to the emergency room less.
Yeah.
Their health is improving, measured by whether it's A1C or what have you, and overall healthcare spend is down.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, I like that. And you and I, we've had a bunch of conversations about this. You know, there for a season, I was kind of involved in one. And one of the things that I liked about it, coming from the physical therapy background, is I noticed it trending more and more when we started to get out of the physical therapy business, that it was so regulated in what you could and could not do for the patient in healthcare, because it was regulated by the insurance providers. And so something that may be most ideal for the patient, they would either say no, or they would want you to do this or whatever. And so it kind of handcuffed the provider. And in the direct primary care, what I like is the membership model, where they're really big on that physician-patient relationship there. And so, anyway.
One of the core values of Frontier is being intentionally relational.
Yeah.
And I like that. Exceptionally thorough is another. And a lot of that comes from one of the two founders, or one of the co-founders, Pete Lazapina, goes by Dr. Laz.
Dr. Laz, that's
but he was frustrated with the system and the way he was handcuffed, and he was like, I gotta go outside of this.
Yeah.
And because I truly care for my patients. And so I think that's where a lot of the culture from this company stems from.
Yeah.
And so, and the other co-founder, Bib Beal, he was a general contractor, owned a construction company. His was more from the experience side of things, and like providing benefits to his team. And this is insane. Like the care is horrible, and the cost is unpredictable. And like, how do we fix this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those guys got linked up, and here we are.
Yeah.
So no, it's good. And what I've learned over the past very short time and coming from outside of the industry, which most of the folks employed at Frontier are from outside of healthcare. And
That's probably pretty good, I would guess.
And it's designed to come in with a fresh set of eyes. And how do we, if we were to, blow this whole system up and start from scratch, how would we do it? Like what actually makes sense for people?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way the company's been built.
Yeah.
But what they've told me is that about 80% of your lifetime healthcare needs can be handled through primary care.
Yeah.
So why would you pay this incredible price for insurance that you're not going to use for years and years? And so there's a ton of friction in the sales cycle trying to re-educate companies and that sort of thing. That's the uphill battle that you fight. But once you get in the door, the retention is very, very high. It's a really sticky product because it works and the experience is really good. And this specific company, I can't speak to others, but has physicians that really care.
Yeah.
And the entire medical staff really cares.
Yeah.
And so they want you to have a remarkable experience.
Yeah.
And they want your health to improve. And we've talked a lot about incentives.
Yeah.
I believe heavily in incentives.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way that the healthcare system is built right now, the incentives are maximize shareholder value because these are giant publicly traded companies.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Like my investments in the stock market go up when healthcare company profits go up.
Yeah.
So do yours.
Yeah.
So does every American's. But if you're the CEO of one of those companies, or if you're a department head, or if you're a pharmaceutical salesperson, like your incentive structure is to maximize shareholder value.
That's right.
It's not, you are not aligned with the incentives of the patients.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about primary care,
If I had a clap button, I'd give it a little clap right there. I think I got one on there somewhere.
That's what I love about primary care. It's like, man, even if we're unsuccessful, we're still making people's lives better.
Yeah.
Even if we don't break the system and make a lot of money and all that stuff, like we're still delivering a great patient experience.
Yeah.
A great, what we would call member experience. But the incentives of a primary care clinic are actually aligned with the members they serve.
Yeah.
That's what to me is powerful about it is as a physician that if you're a physician that owns just a single primary, not this company, not that company, like you, Dr. Cory Lee, own your one clinic and you serve your members, you make more money when your patients are less sick. Less visits equals more profitability for you. And that flies in the face of the way everything else is set up.
Yeah.
I mean, a tier 1 drug on a pharmaceutical plan or that's administered by the PBMs, a tier 1 drug is not the most effective.
Yeah.
It's the most profitable.
Yeah.
Tier 2 is the second profit tier. Tier 3 is the third profit tier. It has nothing to do with effectiveness.
Yeah.
That's the way the system's built. Now, is it because there's some evil villain out there that drew it up that way? No, I think it's probably to some extent, as simple as a publicly traded company is designed to make money.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you're the CEO, you bonus on how much money did the
your job
make.
is
Your job is to
grow the
maximize
thing.
that. We want to get, there's a bill in Congress right now for Ozempic to be like approved for Medicare and prescribed to children as young as 6.
God.
You know why? Because their job is to make sure that Ozempic makes a lot of money so that their shareholder value is maximized. Do I think that's a great thing? No, but
I'm just speaking what it is.
That just like doesn't mean the CEO is bad. It just means his or her job is to maximize shareholder value.
Yeah.
So they're going to lobby Congress to get certain things done to protect their business and grow their business because that's what their job is.
Yeah. Wow.
But the beauty is we live in a system where you can go start another company to fight against it.
Yeah. And that's what you guys do.
Create something better.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at cory@coryleeleadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now. Do you feel like this can be like a real big disruptor in the healthcare market space?
It's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
It's a huge uphill battle because the challenge is when a company like this makes it, do they run into a lot of red tape and lobbying against them or legal issues to shut them down? Or does one of the big players just say, hey, that makes sense, we're going to buy them?
Yeah.
And we're going to close it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because there are places where financially, like if you start to look at the biggest companies and the top 20 biggest companies on the stock exchanges, a lot of them are in the healthcare space. There are companies writing checks for $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion companies and just buying them to protect their business.
Yeah.
Or to enhance their business. But, is it unreasonable to think that a company could make it and get bought for $500 million and then, segment it out or shut down to protect the other business? No, that's a drop in the bucket of the healthcare space is multiple times larger than the energy sector.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. So, I don't need to start quoting them because I'll misquote them. But if you go do some research and look at the size of some of these companies, it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible.
As I'm listening to you, it's really interesting. I remember having a conversation with you a couple of years ago. One of the things you said to me is, "How do we change healthcare?" That's what you said, and
I remember that,
you were thinking,
you said call Tanny.
Yeah, let's call Tanny, right? Because we were doing some of this direct primary care, and I shared with you a little bit about direct primary care, and what I loved about it was that you were trying to think into it, and it's like when you learn something new, you're trying to, you don't have the full picture, and you're trying to learn because you're like, what can we do in the fitness space, and what can we do? You're trying to figure it out, and I just think it's kind of cool. You come full circle now. You're in that space.
It's very interesting. This is not. I was more on like the health and wellness track of it. Would have been interesting and fun to work on. Probably not as impactful because I feel like this company has the ability to actually build a real large business and scale it and help a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. You were the one that introduced me to primary care. The way I got introduced to Frontier was catching up with a friend of mine that I've been good friends with for 10 or 12 years. And I was just driving to Tennessee one day and thought about him and called him while I was on the road and, how's it going? Our quarterly catch up. And he was like, I started a new job yesterday. And he was working with Frontier. And he told me a little bit about it. And I said, man, my friend Cory Lee told me about this model a couple of years ago. And then the doctor didn't want to come to Tupelo because COVID happened. And it just kind of fell apart. But I love that model. And if you got, at this point, they had maybe one or two clinics.
Yeah.
And I said, if you guys ever decide to franchise, I'd be really interested in bringing it to Mississippi. We should definitely stay in touch about this because the way that Cory spoke about it, this is good for people.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, we'll stay in touch. And then about 2 years later, year and a half later, the phone rang and they were raising money to start growing. They had 6 clinics and they're like, we kind of think we have some of this figured out enough to really make a run at it.
Yeah.
And so that was a year and a half ago, and now the company's grown 2 times that.
Yeah.
Since then.
What to me is really cool is, all right, so going back to the vision board stuff, all right? And we can make fun of that all we want to. All I'm saying is you've heard me say this. One of the first mentors, Paul Martinelli, used to say all the time is like, you can be in the right place at exactly the right time and not even know it. And what he meant by that was like, is when you understand what you're kind of looking for, whenever it pops up, you can take notice of it. And so same kind of thing, even if it's just that small thing with, oh, let me call my buddy, and you have that conversation. Oh, I was just thinking about that, or whatever. It's like, that's how the thing kind of plays out. And it's really awesome.
The further I get into life, I was talking about this with somebody last week, or maybe yesterday. It is so much about timing.
Yeah.
It is so much about
see that.
timing.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the right place at the right time. It's something that I learned even from hunting.
Yeah.
It's like you can make all of the right decisions and still not get the job done if you're just unlucky, or you can make all the wrong decisions and then somehow you end up in the right place at the right time and you end up getting lucky.
Yeah.
My best friend and I were talking the other day. I was like, every time I have a successful hunt, I'm like, man, I got so lucky every time. And a lot of times in life too.
Yeah.
But when you start to step back and analyze, it's putting yourself in good positions.
Yeah. That's it. I like that.
Making good choices as good as you can, being a good steward of things, and then being in the right rooms. And sometimes it's just being friendly to somebody, and now you've become friends with them.
Yeah.
Just because you were standing in line at Walmart.
Yeah.
And you didn't have your head in your phone, and you just had a conversation with somebody, and then that leads to another relationship, and here you are with an amazing opportunity. Again, probably divine providence, but making good choices starts to compound, and you get in good rooms and put yourself in a position.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to capitalize.
Yeah.
And you have to, at least like in hunting, you have to have prepared so that when the opportunity arises, that you can actually seize it.
Yeah.
But putting yourself in a good position, is pretty priceless.
It is. You reminded me of something. When the opportunity comes, you got to be ready to go with it, right? So I've started back over and reading the Bible. All right, so started back in Genesis. It's interesting. The Lord comes to Abraham and says, I'm going to promise you a land. I'm going to promise you a people, and then the whole world is going to be blessed through you, right? Like through Jesus. But he said, one of the promises, I'm going to give you some land.
Right.
And so he was sojourning through the land of Canaan, and his wife dies. And now's his opportunity to buy some land, right? And so he's going to buy a cave. And so he goes to this guy, and it's interesting as you read it, it's this old school negotiating kind of tactic. Oh, what is that to you and me? Just bury her in there. It's like, no. This is my opportunity to buy it, and I'm going to buy it. And the negotiating tactic, the guy's like, well, what's 200 shekels between me and you, right? Like it's really, when you look at it, it's some outrageous number. Right. Abraham drops out 200 shekels, of silver, right? Like this dude's rolling, but he knew, like when you said that, it reminded me of this story. I was like, he was prepared, right? Like he was prepared for whenever the moment came. He didn't know when the moment was going to come. But when the moment came, he was ready. He was ready. He was sitting on go. He had 200 shekels of silver right there. Dude's rolling, And so, man, when that opportunity comes, it's like, you got to go.
That's exactly where my mind went with it too. Is we were talking before, and I don't know why it's been on my mind this week, but you asked how our one of our Airbnbs was going. And I was like, the biggest regret of my life is this one that we didn't buy.
Yeah.
But we weren't ready for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Now that one, when I look back, I don't know if I ever could have been. I would have had to save almost every dollar that I made my entire career to be able to be in a position. But I also look at it and I was like, there was a major opportunity here.
Yeah.
For somebody.
Yeah.
That was ready.
Yeah.
It wasn't me at that time. But I like my projections were like I've kept tabs on that market and what values did since then, and it far exceeded what my expectations and modeling were, I wasn't able to seize that opportunity because I didn't have the 200 shekels. So, but it also sounds like Abraham read Never Split the Difference.
He never split the need. Yeah.
He was the original.
He was the original. He's the OG.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. If you read it, it's like, man, what in the world's going on here? Right? Like, but it's like, oh, what's that between me and you? 200 shekels. He's like, well, here's 200 shekels. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Logan, one of the things I love about talking with you is, man, you kind of keep a tab on, kind of what's going on in culture and society, and it really from an economic standpoint. I don't know if you have been lately, so I would just love to hear, what do you see going on economically? Maybe here's the question: what do you see going on? But where's the opportunity right now?
Oh, where's the opportunity? I asked a couple of people that are. One is a president of a local bank.
Yeah.
Saturday night, so we were at a birthday party. Him and then someone that runs one of the premier banking and wealth divisions at another local bank. I was like, what are you guys projecting right now? Like, what are y'all looking at for 2025? And they could not give me answers.
It's interesting.
They were like, it is murky because of this election.
Yeah.
The Fed's done a couple of, like, we're going to drop by this much, and then they drop by twice that much, and we're going to drop a certain amount of times next year, but maybe we won't now. So there's some, I don't know, it's a little murky to me right now. What I do feel like is middle Americans, like, we've all been squeezed. We talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's like, this inflation is going to be ugly.
Yeah.
We should all buy gold and crypto, and then we should have all bought gold and crypto. But here we are. Our dollar doesn't go nearly as far. Wages have not kept up with inflation. Interest rates, when they went up, just made life challenging because discretionary income shrank and income just didn't scale with the expenses. I think what we've started to see over maybe the past couple of months, we put about 1 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve out into play, and now we've seen gas prices drop significantly, and it feels like, at least the businesses I'm involved in, it seems like sales are starting to want to work their way back up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's real or artificial.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Yeah,
I feel like it's artificial. Very interested to see, like, we should have done this like next Tuesday after the election, because I think it can potentially go one of two ways, and not just because of the presidency. Like, I'd like to see what happens with Congress, because if you have a full red Congress and presidency, like, there's going to be some policies that come probably pretty quickly with that, or if it's split, or if it's all blue, it'll be very different. As to what policies go into place. Trump talks a lot about right now specifically has been talking of late a lot about tariffs, bringing jobs back here, some oil moves and things like that. I do think all of those things would have net positive impacts on our economy. A lot is just driven off interest rates.
Yeah.
Right now, I think our asset values just ran so fast with the 0% that it's going to take a long time to catch up.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time to catch up.
It's interesting. I was talking with this has probably been 7 or 8 months ago, so this is a little bit old here. But I was talking to a CEO of a bank, and he had just left like a conference with other heads of banks, and I'd ask him kind of the same question you asked yours, like, what are you guys seeing? What are you forecasting? And he said something really interesting. He said, what we are seeing is that consumer spending is still at an all-time high. Like, people are spending their money, but they're maxing out their credit cards, and now they're coming to us for loans. Yep. And when he said that, I was thinking, wow, how long can we really sustain that? Like, living off of credit and living off of loans.
Supposedly the credit bubble, I think we've talked about before. Yeah. It's just keeps growing and growing and growing. And cards. They did a refi loan that's essentially like a working capital loan. I don't know how much is consumer and how much is necessity.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some people that it's maybe irresponsible, and there's other people that are just like, hey, rent or mortgage plus food plus diapers plus fuel for me to get to work is more than I'm making.
Yeah,
because those prices just ran. I mean, when eggs are $6, $7, $8 a dozen, that's double what it was, and your income probably didn't double. So I think some of it is just survival.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of it seems like survival. So I'm hopeful that we can get back to a good place. I think people are squeezed and they're hurting right now. And I think that the top 1% is doing better than ever because the top 1% own assets, and values are high.
Yeah, they are.
As far as opportunity goes, things I'm looking at, if I'm going to do anything else, small business, I've talked with Chris about this the other day. It needs to be plumbing, electrical, or HVAC because service businesses right now are like PE companies are jumping in and rolling them up. So there's great opportunity in the trades.
Yeah.
If you're 17 years old and you're thinking about going to college but you don't really know what you want to do, you should probably go learn a trade. Don't take out the debt. Go learn how to do something. You'll make 6 figures really quick.
Yeah.
And, keep your overhead low. If you decide you want to do something else later on, then go for it. But you can stay out of a big, nasty hole. And there's going to be a huge need for that stuff. There's tons and tons of folks that are in their 50s and 60s and looking to retire or sell their business, and there's nobody to give it to.
Yeah. That's wild. That's interesting too. What about Elon Musk? You got any thoughts on Elon? You got to hang out with his mom, you know.
I got to FaceTime with his mom.
A while back.
With his sister. Not far from where
that's like out of left field kind of question right there.
What about him specifically?
I was just curious. That thought just came to me. I remember
the thought of, without being too political, the thought of him doing some government efficiency excites me.
He can figure out a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. Did you see the other day when I can't remember who it was, but there was a supercomputer that they needed to put together, and he was told it would take like a year. They would sit there, and he was like, "Oh, just send it to me. Our team will do it." They did it in 19 days.
God, I didn't see that.
You have to look it up. So
I have to check that out.
Please, nobody quote me on it. Just look up the story but it was something that was supposed to take a really long time, and his team did it in 19 days.
Wow.
So, I think that he does a pretty good job of going back to first principles, and he does a good job of saying, what do we want the outcome to be, and then reverse engineering the process and just getting it done.
Yeah.
And when I say him, I mean his team. Obviously, he's not doing all of these things. It is a pretty incredible, his bandwidth to be able to run this many companies, and clearly stays engaged with them, because the cultures wouldn't stay as productive if it wasn't trickling down. So he's clearly pretty special, and at minimum has the ability to bring in special people around him.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, people can say, I don't know a whole lot about him, but it's interesting, his thought process is quite different. He's sitting in LA traffic while everybody else is complaining. He's thinking about, how do we bore a hole under the ground to shoot cars across it, and and that's what he does. He creates a company to shoot holes, cars across LA. So
I think my biggest takeaway from Elon is how much that you can achieve whenever you have a clear vision of what it is you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, he's done some pretty amazing stuff with SpaceX, but not because he wanted to do amazing stuff with SpaceX.
Yeah.
It's like all these things are just stepping stones to get to Mars. His vision is Mars.
Yeah.
Right. But then he just built this company that's 100 times better than NASA.
Yeah.
Because it's just a byproduct.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this has to happen.
Yeah. These are the stepping stones.
This is just what we have to do. And he's doing things that are, most of us couldn't do in 10 lifetimes.
Yeah.
But it's just like another day at the office for him because this is how we get to Mars.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I think that's interesting in like company building or just life in general. Like if you set your goal out there, if I want to kill the world's biggest bull elk, well, that's going to take a lot of reps. And so I could probably achieve all of these other like stepping stone goals without setting them as goals.
Yeah.
If I set this goal out here, I have to become something.
Yeah. Yeah.
To achieve that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been an interesting lesson I've pulled from him. Is like, man, he's achieved some amazing stuff. It wasn't because that was the goal.
Yeah.
They just have to happen.
Yeah. You said something I've been really thinking about a lot, and we've talked about it some, about vision and having that ideal outcome of whatever. And I've, I do these goal setting workshops, and I've really been challenged myself about where do I land out on goals now, like goal setting and growth, as far as like, what's the vision, the ultimate outcome. Like once you get clear on that, like you're saying, now the goals are just mile markers along the way. They are just stepping stones along the way. If I can just figure out what that one thing is or that vision, and get clear on that, just back it off from there. And so, yeah, that's interesting. Well, Brother Ayers, man, you have added a ton of value, man. I would love to, man, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, or if they had questions. I know you get millions of emails a day, right? But
a lot less now.
Which is good.
I'm non-essential.
Yeah, but if somebody's like, man, I'd love to connect, or man, I got some great hunting land out in Wyoming,
I'm open. I'm
so
open.
How would they let you know about their great hunting land?
I'm not incredibly social media active, so I would say like either Facebook, Logan Ayers, or my email, which is lbayers91@gmail.com.
There you go.
Or just reach out to Principles.
Or Principles, there you go.
Reach out to Principles, and Cory Lee will filter it for
There
me.
you go. I can, you know what, I'll be your gatekeeper, Logan. I'll be the gatekeeper.
Just what I need.
Yeah. Well, man, I've really enjoyed it, and you've added a ton of value, and it was great to have you on, and love to have you come back again. Just
Thanks for having me. It felt like old times. We should do it more than once every 2 years.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, man,
we're gonna have to bring this studio back to the living room one time.
And
throw it back.
Do a throwback episode. I like it.
Do a throwback episode. This was awesome. I'm excited about how far you've come. You've got microphones now. A real camera. I think we did the first one on my GoPro.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't even know how to get the footage. Was too much to even move over to my computer.
Yeah. It's like, well, we hope this gets the audio. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. But that's all good.
Didn't we actually? I think the first one, didn't we record it on the GoPro and the phone just in case something didn't work?
I think so. I think that's what we did. It's like, you know what? Let's do double just in case.
Just in case.
And then I think we propped up a computer and did it through Zoom or something a few times or something. So anyway,
that's the real deal now.
That's it. There you go. That's it. That's and a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people about starting. People call me about starting podcasts, and they're like, what equipment and all that. I was like, man, just start, honestly, just start, do through Zoom, whatever you got. Yeah. I mean, if you want to spend some money, go for it. But
it's funny, the podcast space is, people talk about how saturated it is, but then every once in a while there'll be a new one that just like shoots to the top.
Yeah.
Just go make your content.
Yeah,
set your goal. I mean, for us, it was, let's meet some good, incredible people that live close to us.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
If nothing else, we got to be better friends, and I'm really good friends with Ty Crane now.
Yeah.
He's one of our guests. I met him through the podcast.
That's right.
So I went hunting with him in Colorado this year.
Let's go.
So if nothing else, I got a great friend out of it.
That's it.
So yeah, so you won't have if you set your goal and calibrate it right, you'll have a good experience.
Yeah. You said Ty. I don't know if you remember having Adam Johnson on. he came on. So his episode will be released next week. So
Okay.
when you're listening to this, it was last week's episode.
Okay.
And so anyway, I had him back on, had a good conversation with him. So
He doing good?
yeah, he's doing real
I've got his
good.
book, First Steps, on my desk.
That's it,
Yeah.
man.
First Step Real Estate, right?
He is actually selling his business.
Is he really?
Yeah, he said he built it up, and they're selling their entire portfolio. They are going to take their home and Airbnb that, and him and his wife are going to travel the world. And so,
Good for him.
yeah, it was a really, really good conversation. So it's kind of cool.
You grew up with him, right?
Yeah, we went to high school together, and I brought him on.
He's a kid from Baldwin.
Yeah, a kid from Baldwin. That's what we talked about. I was like,
Traveling the world.
yeah, did you think we'd ever have this conversation? And so it was really cool. And he had some. I've been keeping up with him from a distance, and got a great story, man. I totally respect everything he's doing. He had some differing views on religion than I had, and so I said, man, I'd love to hear his perspective. And so he came on, and we talked about that, and then all the other stuff he's got going on is really, really
And
cool.
is that one released now? Close.
When this recording comes out, it'll be last week, so it comes out next week.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, but for those who are listening to this one, it was last week's episode.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway,
Be looking for that drop.
yeah, I have to look for that.
Excited to hear about that.
Well, guys, we hope today has added value to you, and make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. Make sure, comment, reach out to me, let me know what you any questions that you have for Logan, or if you do have some, some land out west, Wyoming. Where are you looking for,
Or
Logan?
East, we don't discriminate.
No, all right, East Coast too.
I love Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, but I live in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And really within, I've got a dog, a bird dog now, so I need to do some more stuff around here so that I can get him out.
So bird dog landowner, hunter. Yeah, there you go. Hook this man up, yo.
And subscribe to the newsletter
There you go.
so that you can get some Friday morning.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I look forward to that email every
Do you
Friday.
really?
Yeah.
How about
every
that?
one of them.
Let's go, man. That's awesome. I
I'm
didn't
actually
know.
double subscribed, I think.
Oh, are you?
So I get it twice. So I delete one of them and I read the other.
Okay, all right. Thank you for not unsubscribing. That it
I
don't
don't
hurt.
want to hurt the numbers.
I'm playing. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so-
I've been doing that for a little bit. I've been surprised, and people actually reading it. So
I read it every Friday.
I can't tell you how many emails I get on
I read
Fridays.
it every Friday, and every once in a while I forward it out to some people and be like, hey, you need to, depending who it is, read the whole thing or read the takeaway at the end.
Yeah.
But no, there's some good nuggets in there.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you
There's been
there.
a couple of times where I was like, not having not like a bad day or anything, but I was like, oh man, I need to refocus. This was good. This is a
Nice.
good bit of encouragement here.
That's awesome, man. I
No,
appreciate
I
that.
love the newsletter.
Let's go.
Subscribe to the news. If you don't do anything else, subscribe to the newsletter.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Well, y'all, hope you guys have a great day, and God bless.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.